There was an article coming out of one of the Wall Street Journal organizations saying that Obama becomes mocker-in-chief of climate deniers. Go ahead, Devin, play the clip.
But generally, they don't just say, no, I don't believe anything scientists say, except where? In Congress. In Congress. Folks will tell you climate change is a hoax or a fad or a plot. It's a liberal plot. I mean, I'm not a scientist either, but I've got this guy, John Holder, and he's a scientist. I've got a bunch of scientists at NASA, and I've got a bunch of scientists at EPA, and I'm not a doctor either, but if a bunch of doctors tell me that tobacco can cause lung cancer, then I'll say, okay. Right? I mean, it's not that hard.
Man, I'll tell you, I probably shouldn't have listened to that. Well, at least he's right. He's certainly not a scientist. And the problem is the science that they're all laughing about is so skewed. It's not even funny. And then this is on the heels. This was Wednesday night. He was speaking at the League of Conservation Voters. And this was last night. And it is interesting that on Monday, we hear a report that the Oceanographic Climate Organization, whatever it is, where everybody gets their weather from, ultimately, has been falsifying the numbers for years, has been falsifying and has changed the numbers of the average temperature of the Earth's surface for years to make climate change work out. We've had the warmest winter, the coldest winter since 1912. And the science is flawed to meet the expectations and the desires of these environmentalists that love President Obama and that he loves, that give a lot of money, the Hollywood elites. This is the president being, once again, very presidential. And it is just, I hope nobody overseas heard that. But anyway. So listen, I know this much about the environment. I know that God reminds us through Scripture that we are to be a steward of all of God's creation. So, with that in mind, we again have a biblical mandate to be environmentalists. We shouldn't be polluting the water and the air and all those things. We have to be stewards of God's creation, and we ought to all have that in mind. So I'm all for some of the things. I can now almost drink the water out of a creek that I used to play in when I was a kid that had warning signs all over it, not to play in it or not to drink the water or not to eat the fish if there were any fish in it. And now it's clean. We've done some great things. My father told me that during the Depression, that if you flew a plane, if you were in a plane flying over the Schuylkill or Delaware River in Philadelphia, even in the plane, you could smell the stench from the pollution of those rivers. Now you can fish in them and swim in them and boat in them. It's amazing. So I'm all for it, but I'm not for standing behind a bunch of lies because of an ideological agenda.